The sirens screamed through the morning air, 5 police cars screeching to a halt at my property line, a SWAT team piling out with rifles drawn, and a helicopter thundering overhead. All because I demolished my lake. Margaret Hensley, the self-appointed queen of the Willow Creek HOA, had called the sheriff, claiming I was tearing apart public property and endangering the neighborhood. She thought she'd corner me, force me to bend to her iron grip on this community. But she didn't know one critical fact. I didn't just own that lake, I owned the entire county. Every acre, every street, even the HOA office where she issued her decrees. Her 911 call was about to unravel her world in ways she never saw coming. My name is James Carver, and this is the story of how one bulldozer, a hidden scandal, and a fight for justice brought down an empire of corruption. It started with dead fish, hundreds of them, floating belly up in the lake my father built decades ago. For months, I'd watched carp die in droves, their scales glinting like dull coins in the dawn light. Something was poisoning the water, and I was determined to find out what. That lake wasn't just property. It was where my late wife, Emily, and I had planned to teach our grandkids to fish, to build a legacy of simple joys. Emily's voice still echoed in my head, 2 years after cancer took her. You fight for what's right, James, no matter who's against you. I fired up the excavator that crisp October morning, the diesel engine growling as I tore into the muddy shore. The lake had been tied to the neighborhood's drainage system since the 1970s, back when my father trusted the community to share the land responsibly. But trust, I'd learned, could be a dangerous thing. 20 minutes in, my bucket hit something solid: concrete and PVC pipes, a hidden network funneling raw sewage and chemical sludge straight into my water. The pipes, stamped with a 2018 installation date, weren't just broken, they were deliberately shoddy, a cost-cutting scheme that had poisoned my lake for years. This wasn't negligence, it was a crime. Before I could process the find, 3 cars rolled up, a sleek Cadillac SUV flanked by 2 sedans, all sporting Willow Creek HOA stickers. Margaret Hensley stepped out, her blonde hair frozen in place, her phone already recording. "What do you think you're doing, James?" she barked, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You're destroying community property." Her posse, 3 HOA board members and matching Polis clutched clipboards like shields. She was live streaming, framing me as a villain for her social media audience. I climbed down from the excavator, keeping my cool. "This is my land, Margaret. I've got permits, and I've found something you won't like." I nodded at the exposed pipes, discolored water seeping into my lake. Her eyes flickered, but she doubled down. "This lake serves 500 families. You're a menace, and I'm calling the sheriff." She dialed with a flourish, her voice rising. "Sheriff Tom, it's Margaret Hensley. James Carver's gone mad, tearing up critical infrastructure. He's unhinged, possibly armed. We need SWAT now." I felt a chill, not from the autumn air, but from her words. Margaret had clout in Willow Creek, and her armed and dangerous claim was a calculated escalation. But I had an ace. Sheriff Tom Harlan was my father's old fishing buddy, a man who'd carried Emily's casket at her funeral. As sirens wailed closer, I pulled out my father's 1943 master deed, a document I'd barely glanced at until today. It didn't just grant my family the lake, it gave us oversight of the entire community, with strict environmental protections. If the HOA violated those, all authority reverted to me. When Tom arrived, his weathered face calm amid the SWAT chaos, he ignored Margaret's theatrics. "Morning, James. What did you find?" I showed him the pipes and the deed. His jaw tightened as he read the clauses. "Margaret," he said, turning to her, "you'd better call your lawyer." Margaret's next move was a masterclass in manipulation. 3 days later, a mandatory HOA meeting was called at the Willow Creek Community Center. The room buzzed with 200 residents, their faces a mix of worry and anger. Margaret stood at the front, projecting photos of my excavation, cropped to hide the illegal pipes. "James Carver is endangering our water, our homes, our children," she declared, citing fake financial losses and rising insurance costs. The crowd turned on me, neighbors I'd known for decades now glaring like I was a stranger. Questions flew. "Are you unstable since Emily died? Why are you tanking our property values?" I stood, heart pounding, and tried to explain. "Margaret's hiding an illegal sewage system poisoning our water. She's known for months and covered it up." But before I could show my photos, Sarah Lopez, the HOA secretary, stood up. "He's telling the truth," she said, her voice shaking. She played a recording from an HOA meeting. Margaret's voice, clear and cold, saying, "We can't afford repairs. Let the contamination slide until after the election." The room erupted, anger shifting to Margaret. She stormed out, whispering to her ally, "Start Plan B." Plan B was bribery. By Saturday, neighbors reported $500 infrastructure rebates from the HOA, paired with petitions to denounce me. 60 households signed, enough for Margaret to file a lawsuit claiming I was a community threat. She won a restraining order, halting my excavation. My lawyer, David Walsh, a scrappy young attorney, uncovered the real motive. Margaret had embezzled $2.8 million in HOA funds, using fake projects to cover her son Ethan's gambling debts. My lake investigation threatened to expose it all, as the master deed could void her financial schemes. Then came the break-in. Wednesday night, my kitchen window was smashed, my laptop stolen, nothing else touched. Sarah, despite testifying against me under coercion, had recorded Ethan breaking in, plus a damning conversation with Margaret. "Did you get the laptop? We need to end this guy fast." David used this to request an emergency hearing. The judge, Linda Grayson, a college friend of Emily's, had been watching Margaret's lies unfold. At the hearing, David presented Sarah's video, FBI water test confirming contamination, and proof of Margaret's fraud. Judge Grayson reversed the restraining order, dissolved the HOA, and ordered Margaret's arrest. Ethan was cuffed in court. Margaret, defeated, whispered, "You won, James." But this isn't just a site's revenge. 6 months later, Willow Creek was reborn. The FBI recovered $2.1 million, and 12 HOA members were convicted. Sarah led a new community council, launching the Emily Carver Environmental Fund to protect our water. The lake, now pristine, became a community gem with a bench inscribed, "Emily's Haven," for all to share. I transferred county ownership to the residents, ensuring transparency and trust. Property values soared, not from greed but from unity. One evening, as I sat by the lake, my phone rang. A familiar voice pitched home insurance. Margaret, now a telemarketer, unaware she was calling me. I listened, then said, "I'm happy with my coverage. Good luck with your fresh start." She paused, almost recognizing me, then hung up. That moment, quiet and decent, was the justice Emily would have wanted. Standing by Emily's bench, I realized we'd built her paradise not just for me, but for everyone. Willow Creek proved that integrity, not power, wins in the end. What do you think? Have you faced corruption or injustice in your community? Share your story in the comments. Tell us where you stand on fighting for what's right, even when it's hard. Let's inspire each other to keep pushing forward.